So, Shannon, any issues with the way the last sequence unfolded there?
I don't, because Donovan Mitchell had an opportunity to skip to possibly, put him ahead. And Gary Harris Jr. made a great play. And he's not known for defense, and he just reached around, poked the ball out.
He's pretty good on defense.
But the thing was, Skip, I'm seeing Murray drive the ball down. I'm like, he's going to pull this thing out. They have a 2-point lead. You don't need the points. Make them foul you. And he goes and, passes it, and they blow the layup. And I think what happened is because it's so chaotic, and I think Gobert realized I don't have a whole lot of time because he had Donovan way up the court. But everybody that was, close to him, he had Mike Conley Jr. He passed it to Conley Jr. And Skip, when that ball left his hand, I thought it was going in. I really did. Because he's the type of guy that can make shots like that. You've seen him at the end, late in the shot clock, Skip, at the end of quarters or halves of things, make shots like that. So when that ball left his hand, I'm like, man, they just won the game by one.
Yep.
And it rimmed out. I didn't think the game was going to end the way it did, Skip, considering how it started the first half. I'm like, man, this is very anticlimactic.
I'd say.
This is terrible.
Yep.
I mean, I'm looking at the score, it's 50-36 at the half.
Yep.
And I'm like, man, this is not what I thought, especially after the fireworks that we had gotten in games 4, 5, and 6. I'm like, okay, this is the type of game it's going to be. But then, the game starts, and the Jazz couldn't buy a bucket. And I'm like, man, this is really not good. And then all of a sudden, late in the third, and in the fourth, it picks up, and then we got the ball game. The last 8-9 minutes that we expected throughout the entirety of the ball game. But, Skip, I don't have a problem with the way the game played out. Donovan had the ball in his hands. He got it poked away. And the next thing you know, they're coming back the other way. Denver, I don't know what they were thinking. I don't know why you would even attempt that. Pull that ball back out, Murray. Make them foul you. Go to the free throw line and make your 2 free throws and go up by 1. I know you say, well, I got a 3-on-1.
Yep.
But what could have happened, it happened, and it almost cost you the ball game. But I don't have any problem with the sequence of events. I just have a problem with the way Royce O'Neal and Joe Ingles played. Because the last 2 games, English had 12 points, and Royce O'Neal, I think, had like 10 or 11. You can't win like that when you got starters playing those kinds of minutes, Skip, putting up those kinds of numbers. But other than that, I don't have a problem with the way the game played out.
I have one huge problem with the final sequence, and I'm about to get to that, but I'm going to step back and go big picture off last night. I want people to focus on the fact the final score was 80-79. Think about that.
78.
78. 80-78. In fact, I tweeted with 3 minutes left. I said the final score is going to be 80-79. That's why that stuck in my head. And I missed it by a point. And I thought it was going to be low scoring because, I'm not condemning because these are young players.
Right.
But there was a whole lot of choking going on out there. There were a whole lot of tightening Game 7 throats going on. And again, these are 2 teams not all that used to Game 7s, but I warned you going into this game yesterday, Denver did play 2 Game 7s last year. 2 Game 7s. One against the Spurs and then one against the Blazers. And in those 2 Game 7s, Jamal Murray made a grand total of 0 3-point shots. And last night, he was 1 for 6 from 3. So he now has played 3 Game 7s in his still very young career, and he has 1 3-point shot. The other night in Game 6, he went 5 for 5 from 3 in the fourth quarter.
Right.
This is different. This is 7.
Yeah.
This makes everything seem very different, where the stage is too big for you, even though there's nobody on the stage. There are no fans that you can really see. They're virtual, but you can't really see anybody. It's pretty quiet in that gym for the most part, and the stage was still too big for just about everybody on the floor except that big guy for Denver.
Joker.
The Joker has played pro basketball for a long time because he was playing pro basketball when he was 14 in Europe, and the stage was not too big for him. He ended up being the tower of power, the one guy who was a cool customer, and he made the shot of shots.
Especially down the stretch.
Hey, down the stretch. And by the way,
did he miss down the stretch?
No, he did not. And that one shot against Gobert, who was playing his tail off.
He was.
If we could see the last shot that he made, this is the game winner. You want to talk about creativity and guts on this shot? This is like a fall-away hook shot. Look at this. He just made it up on the fly, and he swished it, and that's the ball game. All right, that leads to the final. And by the way, just to sum this up, you realize Denver won this game while scoring a grand total of 30 points in the second half? Think about this. Everybody out there in TV land, think about this. Jamal Murray in game number 1 scored 36 points, so that's more than they scored in the second half. In game 4, he goes for 50, game 5 for 42, and game 6 for 50 more points. His team last night scored 30 in the second half and survived. Live to tell about it.
Think about how many times Jamal Murray scored more points in the fourth quarter by himself than what they scored in the fourth.
I got it. Game 7 is different.
It is.
Okay, now I'm probably going to be over harsh, but I got some issues with the way the final sequence unfolded.
Okay.
My first issue is this. Donovan Mitchell drives it on Gary Harris, but they know he's going to drive it, so he's got all kinds of help behind him, so he can overplay him to the right hand and make him try to cut back to the left, and then there are all kinds of bodies coming. And Gary Harris made a nice play.
Yeah.
He stayed with him, and he flicked it out of his hands from behind. Bang.
Right.
And all of a sudden, Jamal's got the ball, and he's off to the races. Okay, so let me finish on your first point. I'm okay with you finishing that play 2-on-1 if you are dead sure you're going to get a dagger dunk. Okay. If you think it's a dagger dunk by Torrey Craig, if you can bounce pass for a dagger dunk shot, I'm good with it because now you're up 4 and it's game over, right? Torrey Craig blew the layup. So clearly it's an easy 20/20 hindsight where that's choke. It's just a choke. It's a game 7 blown layup. We get it. So obviously if Jamal had it to do over, he'd say, maybe I should just dribble the clock out because that's the safer play. But the dagger play, the go for the throat play is what he did as long as Torrey Craig can put the exclamation point on it. And instead of getting a wide open dunk, he tried to lay it off the glass and he laid it short and it trickled off the front to Rudy Gobert. And here we go up the court. Here's my bigger issue. I love Donovan Mitchell. I have defended him. I said he should have been the Rookie of the Year. You said Ben Simmons. I love his game. I love his mentality. I didn't love it in the fourth quarter last night because he ran from the ball too many times.
Yeah,
he let little Mike Conley Jr. say, you don't want the ball? I guess I got to go. And Mike Conley Jr. went 1 for 7 in the fourth quarter. Is that good?
No.
No, it's not good.
He went for 2 of 13 for the game.
2 of 13 for the game. Donovan, you took only 4 shots in the fourth quarter, and you did make one that was a big driving layup. That was a nice shot. But you should be shooting 7 or 8 times in the fourth quarter. And
absolutely.
I think he got gassed. I really do.
Yes.
He would just stand and look at Conley Jr. like, just go, just do it.
I mean, the first half, Skip, I mean, you watch it in the first half, and you're like, wow, where's the energy? And I understand, you've exerted a lot, especially over the last 3 games.
And for a while, he guarded Jamal, and he did a good job.
Right. And that was, Skip, I thought that was the mistake. Because he's your offense. You can't have your offense. If you notice, Skip, they put Jeremy Grant into the starting lineup and put him on Donovan because they didn't want Jamal Murray being gassed, trying to trace Donovan Mitchell all over the court.
Okay. This is game 7.
Yes.
This is legacy. Sometimes you just got to suck it up and hope, as Vince Lombardi once said, that fatigue makes cowards of us all. Well, you got a little cowardly there because you got fatigue.
Yeah.
I don't think it's in your genetic makeup to be cowardly. I just think I don't have anything left.
Yep.
Well, sometimes you got to reach down. You know this for a fact. You got to find that last little bit that you didn't think was there because it's game 7.
Yep.
So Donovan Mitchell gets turned over on one end of the court, and what does he do, Mr. Sharpe?
He lags.
He pouts. The game's over. No, it's not over.
Right.
This is a message to all the young people out there playing basketball or football or baseball or hockey or whatever you're playing. You can't quit on the play. If there are 7 seconds left in the game, you can't pout at the wrong end of the floor.
Right.
You have to chase the play because you never know what might happen.
Yep.
Torrey Craig might blow the layup at the other end. So help me out. What if Donovan chases the play? What if he just jumps right up and he runs pell-mell down the court after the ball?
Right.
He's not going to catch the ball because they got too much of a head start. What if he's down to, say, top of the circle, even 5 feet beyond the top of the circle on the other end of the floor? Rudy comes up with the rebound. Who's he going to look? Oh, it's Donovan. And maybe you're the guy who gets the ball with a couple of big, maybe 3 dribbles, and maybe you get to shoot the 30-foot jump shot to win the game. Okay, what does Donovan do? He just stands at the other end. He goes to the far 3-point line, and he waves. I'm open. Okay, Conley is completely across court. The clock is down to
He'll never get a shot off.
3, 2, 1. Even if Conley baseball passes to him
never getting it
and
off.
throws him a strike in the shooting pocket, is he going to get that
Nope.
shot off?
Nope, absolutely not.
Mike Conley Jr. is 32 years of age. He's played in a ton of playoff games, many of them against my Spurs. He has been an extraordinary playoff player. He knows what the score is. He knows what literally, quote unquote, what he can get away with.
And Skip, to
There's
your point,
not time.
To your point with Mike Conley, that's what was so surprising to me, because he's been in these big games and he normally plays well. For him to play like he played last night.
But all year it's been going on. He has not lived up to his free agent contract the whole year. I mean, you look at, remember against the Spurs in 2017, we were obviously doing the show. They had a 6-game knockdown, drag-out battle. He averaged 25 a game, and I can't tell you how many times I sat back in my chair and said, he did it again. He made another. He'd make those floater runners. And I'd say, how did you do that?
With either hand.
Either hand. He's ambidextrous, and last night he wasn't that guy.
No.
But all season long, he hasn't been that guy.
Right.
So it degenerates into Mike Conley versus the Denver Nuggets, and I didn't want to see it. And the last play, fittingly or not so much, he dribbles up the floor, and he finally says, and his body clock is ticking, and he's thinking, I have no choice but to shoot this. And Jamal Murray didn't give up on the play on the other end, because if you see in the video, Jamal cuts across his face and does a decent job. See, Jamal got a hand up, and I think bothered it a touch. Just a touch.
And think about, Skip, because you remember now, Jamal Murray was the one that passed the ball to Torrey Craig.
He did.
And so for him to race all the way back.
He chased. He did what Donovan did not do, because, again, it wasn't Jamal's. Jamal didn't blow the layup, so he had nothing to pout about, but his play did not work. And he turned and ran as hard as he could run, and he ran right across the bow of Conley Jr. And this is the guy, remember the pandemic horse tournament that was on that weekend, the first live sports that we got to watch? And Conley Jr. took everybody to school because he has his own gym, in Columbus, Ohio. And he's a trick shot artist. So when you said it left his hand, and I thought, that guy with that shot, it might be an E for the Nuggets, H-O-R-S-E. You might have an E on that shot. And the ball goes in, around, and out. And I don't know how you can make it go much farther down in the basket and still come back out than he did. Because
the thing is, Skip, you have to realize his momentum. So he's going towards the basket. Normally guys don't shoot threes going towards the basket. They normally just pull up. So his momentum is taking the ball. Because probably maybe if he's shooting stationary, who knows? He was cold last night, so he probably even misses it worse than what he ended up missing the shot. But because his momentum is taking it, so you have to take something off. But it looked good, because if you look at Donovan got his hands up. It looks good from where he's standing.
I didn't know if he had his hands up like I'm still open or it's good.
No, he wasn't getting that ball, because like you said, there's no way Rudy Gobert is like, well, you know what? Donovan didn't chase, so let me get this rebound. He should be at the three-point line on the other end. Let me heave it down there to him and get a shot. That's not what because Rudy Gobert doesn't know. He's dribbling, Skip, he's 7+. He's dribbling the ball, and then he's like, let me get this thing up to Conley. And Conley gets it and races ahead.
Even if Mike Conley had caught it and without dribbling it, had baseball passed it, which would be a difficult athletic play to pull off. Could you throw a complete cross-court, sort of almost half the court baseball pass and hit Donovan in the shooting pocket so that he could just catch it and shoot it and get it off?
That's asking an awful lot, Skip. And plus, you have to understand, Mike Conley doesn't know that Donovan didn't chase. He's probably assuming that everybody could be like, how is he supposed to know? And Donovan ends up falling down also. So how does Conley know? Conley is like, okay, give me. He's looking for the ball. So he doesn't know where Donovan is.
Okay.
Skip, they shouldn't have put themselves in this predicament, because when they had seized momentum in the fourth quarter, the Nuggets couldn't buy a basket. And I thought they were going to put some separation, because I think they got it to maybe like 5, and then they would turn the ball over and they were starting missing easy shots. Rudy Gobert played his butt off down the stretch. I don't know how much better he can play 19 and 18.
I don't think I've ever seen better from him. In urgency and effort, and he actually played hard, where I usually see him just sort of go through the motions. Not that he's He just looks like he's got low energy to me, like low RPM.
And plus what hurt him, Skip, is that he got in foul trouble in the first half, and he went to the bench. And so the Nuggets just kept playing just keeping the ball on that end because Plumlee, how many offensive rebounds did he get? I mean, it just seemed like they just couldn't get the ball. But once he came back in the second half, you see it was a different game. But, Skip, I don't really have a problem with it. I mean, I'm sure Donovan and Harris Jr. knows that Donovan wants to get to his strong hand. So even though he turned the corner with his left hand, what did he do? He automatically goes to his right hand. He pokes it out from behind, and then, he slides down. That's the thing. You just got to turn and run and hope. Just hope for the best. Who knows? Maybe you follow Jamal Murray, and maybe you punch it out, Skip, from the back.
Yep, I agree. So speaking of Plumlee, and by the way, he had 3 offensive. No, he didn't have. Did he have any offensive rebounds? It seemed like he had a bunch.
2.
Okay, he had 2. Speaking of Plumlee, Mason Plumlee.
Yep.
I got to get this off my chest. Late in the game, there's a play on which Rudy gets a dunk from Conley. It was a nice pass.
It was AM.
Okay, and one.
I know what you're talking about.
I just got to get it off my chest because you have 3 high-quality playoff officials out there. How do you miss this?
That's an AM one for sure.
It's like he hammers him in the face.
Yes.
And it was close to being flagrant.
Yes, you could have easily called it.
I think you could call that a flagrant.
Yes.
What if you reviewed it and said flagrant?
Yeah.
Okay, then now you've changed the whole dynamic of the game.
Absolutely. Because you get the ball back.
Yeah, and Rudy's like a 50% free throw shooter, but he had made 2 in a row, then he missed one on an and one. But what if he makes the free throw and they end up getting the ball back?
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Well, I just don't, again, it tarnishes what was a tremendous, can't turn it off, wild finish to a game, maybe for the wrong reasons, but... They kind
of let him play down the stretch, though, Skip.
They did.
They kind of let him play.
Okay, but that's beyond letting.
Yeah, no, that was a foul. That's an and one. I'm not saying he makes it, but you're supposed to blow the whistle on that one. He slapped him in the face. Marcus Morris said, y'all called it on me. Y'all threw me out. Y'all gave me a flagrant, too.
That is true. Okay, so how impressed was I with Denver going forward against the Clippers? Well, just remember, to your point, your early point, 1 minute into the second half, they're up 19 points.
Yeah.
Utah's dead in the water.
Yeah.
Psychologically, they're just shot. They don't have their second scorer, Bogdanovich, as I told you yesterday, and it's like Donovan or bust. Conley Jr. has not lived up all year, and you're thinking, well, that's the end of that. I'm about ready to turn it off.
I said the same thing. My mind started wandering. I'm drifting. I'm thinking about something else. I'm flipping. I'm going through the channels now.
All of a sudden, Utah goes on a 32-10 run. 32-10. Denver totals 30 points in the second half, and they managed to hang on against a team that made only 8 of 34 threes, and the 34th, the miss, was the one that could have beaten you.
Right.
So that's how close you came to destruction.
The thing is, Skip, if you score 30 points in any half against the Clippers, you're going to be down 30.
I would hope so.
Oh, no. You can't play like this. Skip, I would, and not to get too far ahead, but if they had, home court, so you're going to play 2 games in Staples, and then you're going to go 2 games to Colorado, the Pepsi Center. I would say, you know what, because the Nuggets can get hot from 3, Skip, definitely. That crowd get into it,
I agree.
They would have an excellent chance. But in a situation like this, it's just basically you hear squeaky tennis shoes across the gym floor.
Yep.
I'm not giving them much of a chance. I don't even know if they'll give them the fight that the Mavericks gave them.
Yep.
Because they're too inconsistent. Skip, you can't be up by 19 in a game 7 and then find yourself down at some point in time in the fourth quarter by 5 points.
Yep. I got Clippers in 5, but let's tie a bow around these 2 young men who entertained us so spectacularly for 6 games. The first 6 games, Donovan Mitchell averages 39 points a game.
Right.
It's extraordinary.
Yes.
Jamal Murray averaged 34 a game, but in fourth quarters and overtime, he just took game after game completely over.
Yes.
It's been a long time since I've seen shootouts like these 2 staged for us for 6 games.
Right.
Game 7, not so much.
Right.
Both struggled. Both found this pressure, this expectation a little too much for their young careers.
But, Skip, if you look at it, both were about their season average. Donovan averaged 24.
Yep.
He got 22. Jamal Murray averaged 18. He got 17. And remember, you and I talked about this, is this budgeting superstar hot streak. We were like, this is a hot streak. because we could see if they were if Jamal Murray was averaging, say he averaged 18 and he was getting 25, I was like, okay, Skip, that might be something. But 15 more than what you averaged in the regular season, Donovan was 15 more, 14, 15 more. Like, nah.
And finally, as much as I love Donovan, in the end, he had 9 turnovers, obviously including the last one.
And he's going to have turnovers, Skip, because he handled the ball so much.
I got it. But he totaled 1 assist. 9 turnovers to 1 assist.
No.
And it still came down to a Conley, Horse shot that lipped out.
Yep. And that's too, Skip, that's too many. You can't have 9 turnovers with 1 assist.
You can't.
Yeah, I mean, you got
almost won.
Yes. As bad as they played, as bad as they started the game, and as deep a hole as they dug themselves in, as you mentioned, they had a time with no time or shot with no time on the clock to win the game. I said the Nuggets would win by 3. They won by 2.
Yeah, and you did predict 80 to 70.
No, I didn't predict that. No. I thought those two guys would have 80 between them. Let alone the score.
Thank you for watching. You can subscribe here to get the latest from the show, and be sure to check out more of the best clips from Undisputed, or go watch a few other segments from our other shows on FS1.